And the world of sports comes alive here on Breakfast Central as we go straight to all the happenings, especially out there in Qatar. Morocco coach Walid Regragui says holding Croatia to a goalless draw in their first game of the 2022 World Cup will give them confidence. The North Africans, who will also face Belgium and Canada in Group F in Qatar, suffered a group stage exit in Russia 4 years ago after losing their first two games. Their opener against 2018 runners-up Croatia was one with few significant chances. The Atlas Lions, who have not won a World Cup match since beating Scotland 3-0 in 1998, forced Croatia goalkeeper Dominik Livakovic into second-half saves with efforts from full-backs Noussair Mazraoui and Achraf Hakimi. Morocco's draw means African sides are yet to win a match at this year's final. Let's go straight to what we expect today. As you can smell it, it's in the air. Defender Dennis Odoi says Ghana's struggles earlier this year have helped to bring the squad together as they prepare for today's opening World Cup Group H match against Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. Ghana, ranked 61st in the world, are the tournament's lowest ranked team, and that is partly because of their poor showing at the Africa Cup of Nations, where the Black Stars failed to win a game and finished bottom of their group. Since that failure, coach Otto Addo has recruited from the diaspora and Belgian-born Odoi, who plays for Club Brugge, in one of the newcomers who actually helped the squad qualify for Qatar and a fierce West African rivals Nigeria. Now, despite their low ranking, Odoi believes Ghana can actually do well and are capable of definitely upsetting Portugal, who were European champions not quite long ago. They were champions in 2016. But the big news is Ghana takes on Portugal today. The Ghanaian side are indeed filled up with amazing players from the midfield and also from the wings. Will they be able to beat Portugal? I am not going to be surprised if they do, because we've seen so many upsets already taking place at this year's World Cup. Remember that of Argentina, Saudi Arabia. Just yesterday, we also saw almighty Germany going down all of a sudden in the sprinkle of dust. That's how it happened. But let's move on to more stories, and we'll bring to you more information on that. Well, Gavi marked becoming Spain's youngest player at a major tournament with a goal in an emphatic 7-0 win over Costa Rica as they began their Qatar 2022, campaign in a record style. It was indeed amazing, but Group E rivals Germany, like I mentioned, suffered a shock 2-1 loss to Japan early on Wednesday. But Spain did not look under any threat after Dani Olmo gave them an 11th-minute lead, making it Spain's 100th World Cup goal. It was indeed amazing. Well, two goals followed inside the opening 31 minutes through Marco Asensio's strike and a Ferran Torres penalty. Torres doubled his tally early in the second half, and Gavi then stared in a delightful volley before substitutes Carlos Soler and Alvaro Morata added two more goals later on in Spain's record win at the tournament. Well, World Cup results are indeed one that will amaze you, because you'll be expecting to see bigger teams qualify and do well. But here are the results quickly. Japan beat Germany by 2-1. You also have Spain actually beating Costa Rica by 7-0. Let's take a look at more. It was 0-0. Yes, Africa not celebrating any win yet. They had a draw with Croatia and Belgium. Even though one of the players known as Kevin De Bruyne, who won man of the match, actually when interviewed said he doesn't think he deserves to be man of the match because he did not play anything. And I agree with him. I was expecting so much more from Kevin De Bruyne, but I didn't see that. Anyway, Belgium still beat Canada by 1-0. Tonight or today, starting from early hours of this morning, 11 a.m. West African time, Switzerland and Cameroon will be that game to look out for. Brazil, oh yes, they happen to be my favorites going into this World Cup. I'm pointing fingers at Brazil, seeing them as the victors anytime soon for this World Cup. Brazil will take on Serbia. Many have said it's a walk in the park, but do not say that yet, because that's what Argentina said until they were stung like a bee. Uruguay will play South Korea, and Portugal will definitely take on Ghana. That, for me, is the match of the day because of one man who's spoken too much, and this will be his first time in public space where he'll be playing. So it stands a chance to prove if it's not Manchester United problem, it's his problem. So he would do well to score. If he doesn't score, then people would say, oh, okay, after all, it wasn't Manchester United problem, it was your problem. And then Ghanaians have so much to prove, our very own brothers. Well, Red Bull have announced the return of Daniel Ricciardo, who will be their third driver for the 2023 season. The Australian left the grid following his exit from McLaren, where he completed his final race in Abu Dhabi last Sunday. And it was widely expected that he would be returning to Red Bull, who he left in 2018. Ricciardo had a stint with Renault before moving to McLaren, with spells at both teams being disappointed ones, and it was announced earlier this year he would be leaving McLaren, with Oscar Piastri, I beg your pardon, being his replacement on the grid. By the way, the 33-year-old did not turn his back on Formula One, so take note. However, he could return to the grid with a full-time seat in the future, though previously stated he felt the best approach could be as a reserve driver. So that move has now come with Red Bull, where he will be an understudy to Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez in 2023, filling in should either of the pair be unable to race, as well as competing in practice sessions. Many Formula One fans do not like this story because they feel he has a lot to offer. But guess what? As time is running out, it's good for the young stars to learn from you and your experience. And that's what exactly Ricardo is looking to share. That's all we have for you from the world of sports here on Breakfast Central.
Very interesting stories there. And, you've talked about his time running out. It seems that we've been seeing some of these people in some sporting legends, either taking the back seat or leaving. There's been a lot of changes and transitions being made.
That's right.
No one wonders what the case for Ronaldo, for example, would be.
Only the big one. Ghana taking on Portugal. And then you have Cameroon taking on Switzerland today. Two African teams. So, we're Africans. We're looking forward to see victories coming from both sides, the Cameroonians and, of course, the Ghanaians.
But that angle to the World Cup that a lot of people haven't paid attention to is the fact that whilst there are people in Qatar celebrating and watching this thing, people in China, they have a very different reality. I was reading somewhere how the people in there, they have been protests, of course, because there have been severe lockdowns. So they're unable to watch the World Cup. Flights between China and Qatar are restricted. And it's like they're at home, wearing masks, facing a lockdown. Non-essentials, of course, have been locked down. And then they're seeing people rejoicing on TV with no mask. One man said he finds it difficult to be able to explain to his children why the reality that they are experiencing is totally different from what they're experiencing in Qatar. And it's very sad to think of what they're going through there. Of course, they didn't make it to the World Cup. We know that President Xi Jinping is a lover of football and said it's been their dream that one day China would win World Cup. But whilst that is not happening, at least they can be a part of it, but they can't be a part of that. It's just very sad to see.
So sad.
Different realities around the world. Anyway, we've been around the continent this morning. Like a famous song says, we've been around the world. Aye, aye, aye. But we will share with you what we've discussed this morning. Let's take a quick recap.